So pretty much like everyone else, I spent most of September playing Destiny. That's a pretty well-made game, maybe a little bit overproduced, kind of lacking in content. But it was a fun time until, you know, I eventually kind of burned out on it like everyone else. But then I stumbled upon this game, released in the US under the name Zombies, Monsters and Robots. Here in Europe it's called Hazard Ops. What it is, it's a cooperative PC free-to-play shooter that you can either play, yeah, as I said, cooperatively or in versus PvP. The PvP stuff, I wasn't really a big fan of that. What you get is a standard, you know, deathmatch, team deathmatch, defuse the bomb modes. I think the greatest part of this PvP stuff is the zombies versus mercs thing, where you it's kind of class based, where you unlock various characters with various abilities as you level up. That works pretty well. There's also an infection mode, kind of like Counter-Strike, you know, where one player is infected, and when he kills another player, that player also becomes affected, and, you know, then they have to chase down the remaining human survivors. That's also somewhat unique, not as unique in these kind of Asian free-to-play games, as they seem to knock on Counter-Strike quite a bit. But the greatest part of the game is probably the co-op mode. Totally separate mode, with various kinds of co-op missions. Now you get two different kinds of wave-based survival modes in the game. There's one called Assault, where you have to survive against enemies with guns who like roll in from various directions. Then you got one simply called Survival, which plays a lot like the zombie mode in Call of Duty. You know, you have to survive against hordes of zombies coming at you, and build defenses, and open up new areas of the map, and buy guns as you run low on ammunition. So that's pretty well made. The more interesting mode, in my opinion, is called the Assault Ops. This plays a little bit like Left 4 Dead, you know, where you have to go to an objective, and then they spawn in enemies, which in this case have guns, and it's robots and soldiers, and you have to work together to get to the end and fight a boss or two. There's also a mode called Extermination Ops, which is the same thing, but against supernatural enemies and monsters and zombies and that sort of stuff. That works really well. It has a bit of a story to it. There's actually an overarching plot line that runs between several kinds of missions, where you're fighting against this person called Colonel Cooper, who starts out, as you meet her the first time, she's kind of like a cyber robot cyborg thing, and as you defeat her, she kind of escapes to the moon, and when you meet her on the moon, she's been like infected with aliens or something, and then she's like an alien boss, but also still a robot. And then the most recent release they made is by the end of one of the wave-based survival missions against zombies. Then she pops up. This also takes place on the moon. Then she pops up. She's still a robot cyborg alien, but now she's in a mech suit. So I'm pretty interested to see where they'll go with this. They are gradually rolling updates out, so you know, it's always worth checking back to. Probably my least favorite nature of the game is that it is a free-to-play game. Its inherent free-to-play nature means that you do get coins by playing missions, and those coins could be used to buy weapons, new weapon upgrades. But you know, it takes a super long time to buy that. So what you can do is that you can buy another currency with real money, and then use that to buy guns, as expected, you know, in any kind of game. The thing that kind of ticks me off is that a lot of these weapons that you can buy, and with real money also, are just well, they have an option where you can just buy them as temporary upgrades. You know, you have a weapon for 7 days. That kind of irks me. There's also expendables. You can buy money on you can buy turret emplacements that are super effective. But you know, paying real money for 10 turrets, that doesn't sound super good to me. A system in order to keep you in the game and to keep you to playing is that each time you die, you have these. Well, for each mission you have like 3 revive tokens that you have the ability to revive 3 times. But then you can buy extra tokens. I'm not sure you can buy those with. I think you can buy those with real money in different packs, but the cost for those in coins, the coins you earn in the game, is pretty low. So it's pretty easy to just play one of the harder difficulty missions and just keep using revive tokens over and over again in order to get through. But the most effective way is probably just to level up by spending hours and hours and hours in the game, leveling up, unlocking the ability to use new guns, and then buy the new guns with real money. I kind of wish this game was designed in a different way. Was designed maybe as a finished product, maybe at $40, $60, I don't know, and everything was just included, and they just roll out updates and give maybe some stuff you can buy, some cosmetic stuff with real money, which you can also buy in the game, and maybe just have the weapons and stuff just allow you to unlock that by simply playing, and maybe not make the leveling up ramp and unlock progression as steep as it is, because what they do want you to buy is XP boosters and money boosters and all the kind of nefarious stuff. But what you do get with the free game is there is some good hours of enjoyment in it. That is makes it worth the download, and you can at least play that for a couple of days and get a good time with it. Now, with that in mind, I should probably point out my favorite parts about Hazard Ops, which is just the sheer amount of content the game has and that you get to play for free. That was really the thing that really stood out to me on the back of Destiny, just how much stuff there is in this. Sure, you got the same soldiers coming at you in the various modes, and you got the same kinds of zombies in most of the modes. But then there's like some maps where there are monsters you haven't seen anywhere else, like flying bugs. There's also a mode called, well, they called it a separate mode, but it's just one map called Primeval Ops or something, where you play on an island in sort of like a Jurassic Park setting with against all these dinosaurs that are just coming at you. But then some of the dinosaurs has guns on the head like Dino Riders, and then the final boss is like this giant T-Rex with a bunch of guns and lasers on him. Pretty awesome stuff. Now probably my absolute most favorite part is the simple audacity of these free-to-play games and the studios who make them. This is developed by LIEK TEH Games, which I don't know if the copyright infringement works differently in China, but there's definitely some stuff going on here. But I noticed in some of the clips here, my character and I bought a costume, so she's dressed up like Leona from King of Fighters. Then they had this Halloween event where they sent out costumes to everyone, temporary costumes. But at one point I was dressed up like Cammy, a character that looked a lot like Cammy, and I played with 2 other characters who were dressed up to look like Batman. They just don't care. There's another mission in the game that is straight up a Contra mission. They play heavy rock in the background, and then you have to shoot these plates on the wall, kind of like the bases in the first Contra. It's pretty amazing stuff.
The IMSC people lied to me. They said they are trying to revive prehistoric creatures, but their true purpose is to manufacture biological weapons. We must put an end to this crazy plan. Listen, I will try to overload the geothermal energy resource system. This should blow up the entire research base. I need your help to buy me time.
All in all, I actually think Hazard Ops is a really well-made game, especially for the price of free. It's just a fun, mindless third-person shooter that doesn't have to be too difficult, and it's great for playing when you're listening to a podcast or whatever. And you can definitely get a good couple of days of fun out of it. So yeah, check it out.
You won this round.
No! The IMSA is forced to launch. Next up, the moon.